You've never swum in water like this. Long before humans showed up with their floaties and beach balls, Earth's oceans were straight-up war zones. Except instead of submarines and sharks, you had monsters that could snap a great white in half as a warm-up snack. And believe it or not, that wasn't even the scariest thing out there. Forget everything you know about ocean predators. This isn't a list of big, scary fish. It's a tour through evolution's wildest experiments. These creatures weren't just dangerous. They were perfect prehistoric killing machines that made dinosaurs look like snacks. Nature went off script here. Think vacuum-jawed ambush hunters, crocodiles spinning prey like blenders, and sea lizards smart enough to crack your Wi-Fi password. By the end, you won't just know who they were. You'll know how they dominated, vanished, and changed the world. Long before T-Rex showed up, a shallow sea called the Western Interior Seaway sliced North America in two. It stretched from the Arctic to the Gulf, turning the continent into twin buffets for marine monsters. It wasn't paradise. It was a prehistoric war zone. For 34 million years, yes, million, this seaway was basically evolution's lawless playground. Sea levels were 170 meters higher than today. Carbon dioxide was cranked up like the Earth forgot to turn off the stove, and evolution was doing shots of espresso. Everything got bigger, faster, stronger, meaner. Imagine nature turning on cheat codes. Welcome to Hell's Aquarium. And just when you thought things couldn't get worse, along came the Jurassic period with pliosaurs the size of school buses. Then the Cretaceous rolled in like, hold my ammonite, and introduced mosasaurs, aquatic crocodiles, and prehistoric scorpions that made the seafloor look like a horror movie set. Picture this. You're standing waist-deep in warm Cretaceous ocean. The sun's out. You're vibing. And suddenly, something brushes your leg. Your whole soul stops. Because down there, the sand has teeth. And they're waiting. Imagine locking eyes with a creature designed to crush turtles for fun, or seeing a shadow the size of a city bus hurtling at you at 30 miles an hour, and you're not even its entree. These weren't just big animals. They were calculating, ruthless, evolutionary perfection with scales. Some hunted like snipers, silent, efficient, lethal. Others grabbed you, spun you around like pizza dough, and ripped you into bite-sized pieces. And some, they could literally walk onto land just to finish the job, because staying in the ocean apparently wasn't hardcore enough. You wouldn't have lasted 10 seconds, not even with flippers and a harpoon gun. Heck, most of today's predators wouldn't stand a chance either. That's the real jaw-dropper here. This isn't fiction. This happened. These oceans were real, and they were terrifyingly effective. See, these monsters didn't just happen. They were built. When continents split and sea levels soared, ecosystems got chopped into little survival arenas where evolution could go absolutely feral. And it did. Take mosasaurs, for example. These weren't just overgrown lizards. They were purpose-built killing machines. One species had round, globe-shaped teeth, great for crushing armored prey like ammonites. Another added turbocharged speed and steak knife teeth to chase down rival reptiles. Evolution wasn't aiming for balance. It wanted specialists, hitmen, apex overlords. And let's not forget the sharks, like Cretaceous, aka the Ginsu shark. It swam like a torpedo and could slice through dinosaur bone like a hot knife through butter. If a great white is a sports car, this thing was a Formula One race car with chainsaws for teeth. Dinosuchus, the supersized crocodile, could grab dinosaurs from the shoreline and drag them into the water like it was just another Tuesday. Its death roll was basically a prehistoric blender with legs. You didn't just get eaten, you got shredded. Oh, and things got real weird. Fossils show evidence of cannibalism, creatures attacking their own species. Not because they were hangry, but because eliminating competition was just part of the hustle. Even filter feeders had to watch their backs. Nothing was safe, nothing. Fresh water? Not a sanctuary. It had its own rogues gallery. There were fish like Hinaria, which could launch itself onto land to snatch animals taking a casual sip of water. Just imagine trying to hydrate, and a 300-pound fish yeets itself out of the riverbank at your face. And the tech? Next level. Some fish developed sonar-like senses to navigate muddy waters. Others had armor, giant jaws, jet propulsion. Seriously, these animals weren't just surviving. They were optimizing for carnage. So here's the big question. How the hell do you survive when the entire ocean is trying to murder you? What do you do when the water's pitch black and your predator can see you, smell you, and hear your heartbeat from half a mile away? What if your escape plan is to run for land, but then a fish follows you onto land like some nightmare with gills and a grudge? What if you're a turtle with armor thick as a safe, but your enemy has jaws designed to break safes? What if the top predator lives for nearly a century, learning your patterns, refining its ambushes, and basically becoming the Liam Neeson of the ocean? What if your predator doesn't stop growing and turns sharper with age? What if it turns on its own kind just to thin the herd? Honestly, at some point you've got to wonder, was survival even possible? Would a T-Rex have survived 5 minutes in Hell's Aquarium? Maybe, but probably not. It would have been mosasaur sushi by lunchtime. Because back then, the food chain wasn't a ladder, it was a blender. And if you didn't adapt fast enough, you became chum. Let's talk about the all-stars, the elite, the prehistoric nightmares that didn't just top the food chain, they built it. First up, Pliosaurus funky, better known as Predator X. Sounds like a sci-fi villain, and it was. This beast had a 6-foot-long skull and a bite force of 49,000 newtons. That's triple what a saltwater croc can do. It didn't just bite, it demolished. Concrete? Gone. Bone. Vaporized. If it had a Yelp page, every review would just say, would eat again. But even Predator X had competition, like Dinosaurs, the terrible crocodile. This monster didn't sneak up on prey. It owned the riverbank. With a jaw force of 100,000 newtons, 5 times what it takes to crush a car door, it dragged full-grown dinosaurs into the water like they were snacks. Then came the death roll, nature's original blender. Then there's Globidens, a mosasaur with globe-shaped teeth. Not the biggest in the sea, but definitely one of the meanest. Its jaws were built to crush armor. Ammonites, turtles. It chewed through them like bubble wrap. Loud, fast, no mercy. And speaking of ammonites, let's talk about one of their heavyweight champions, Parapuzosia. This wasn't your average sea snail, folks. This thing had a shell that spanned up to 11 feet across. That's bigger than most smart cars. And yet, even with all that armor, it still wound up on a mosasaur's dinner plate. Think about that. You evolve a literal tank shell and still get devoured like a soft taco. Then we've got the Ginsu shark, also known as Critotus. Yes, like knives. And yes, it lived up to the name. This sleek nightmare torpedo could hit 26 feet in length, swim at 70 kilometers per hour, and rip through bone like it was soggy toast. It didn't nibble, it didn't chomp, it sliced. Clean, efficient, deadly. Imagine getting hit by a torpedo that bites. And finally, we've got to talk about the poster boys of prehistoric ocean terror, the mosasaurs. Specifically, Tylosaurus and Mosasaurus hoffmanni. These weren't just reptiles, they were full-blown biological war machines. Tylosaurus could reach 52 feet, but Mosasaurus hoffmanni took it further, maxing out around 59 feet long. That's 2 buses end to end. Add in a body weight of 15 tons, and you've basically got a meat-covered submarine with teeth. And the bite? Brace yourself. 16,000 psi. That's 4 times the bite force of a saltwater croc. 4 times. You weren't getting away. Not by swimming, not by hiding. You could have disguised yourself as a coral reef, and they'd still sniff you out and turn you into reef dip. The terrifying part? They weren't even monsters. They were just, well adapted. That's the scariest thing about all of this. These weren't accidents. Nature didn't randomly throw together a horror movie. These predators were perfectly designed. Every scale, every tooth, every muscle, all tailored for one thing. Domination, survival of the most savage. Most of them weren't even top predators their entire lives. Some of them had to climb the ranks, surviving ambushes, dodging bigger monsters, and constantly evolving just to stay alive. And once they hit apex status, they held that title for millions of years. Now compare that to today. Our apex predators, like great whites and orcas, are terrifying, sure, but they're playing in a league with a lot more rules. Back in the Cretaceous, there were no rules. If you were small, slow, or even just mildly distracted, you were a snack. So yeah, these weren't just prehistoric animals. They were legends, and the only reason we even know they existed is because they left behind enough bones, bite marks, and shattered shells to tell the tale. And thank whatever higher power you believe in that they're not still around. Because if mosasaurs were still out there, that beach vacation canceled permanently. All of this carnage played out in an ocean that stretched over 3,200 kilometers and was almost 1,000 kilometers wide in some areas. And while it averaged only 150 feet deep, it was jam-packed with some of the most violent life forms the planet has ever cooked up. Oh, and the planet? It was practically a sauna. CO2 levels were 4 times what they are today, and the climate was hotter than Satan's lunch break. Perfect conditions for evolution to go absolutely feral. But even hell has a closing time. The mosasaurs, pliosaurs, and supercrocs all met their end. Not from bigger, badder predators, but from a rock from space and a global reset button. The ocean monsters didn't get defeated. They got wiped off the board. But their legacy? Oh, it's still here. Today's whales, orcas, sharks, they inherited the throne. Nature didn't stop building monsters, it just got creative with the next batch. And the truth is, studying these ancient creatures isn't just about digging up fossils and going, cool skull, bro. It's about understanding how Earth plays the long game. It builds monsters, destroys them, and starts over, bigger, smarter, meaner. So the next time you're waist deep in the ocean and something brushes your leg, just remember, at least it's not that kind of monster. Probably. So, still think the ocean's a fun place to swim? What you've just seen isn't a sci-fi fever dream, it's Earth's resume. This planet doesn't need aliens or kaiju. It made its own nightmares. From bite forces that crushed bones like breadsticks, to predators that could stalk you across land and sea. Our world has a long history of creating monsters that make Jaws look like a bathtub toy. And that's the terrifying beauty of it. These creatures ruled for millions of years. They adapted, they conquered, they vanished. And every time one apex fell, another rose to take its place. But here's the twist. Evolution never stops. Somewhere, right now, something new is sharpening its teeth. It might not be 50 feet long or swim at 70 kilometers an hour, but it's out there, silent, patient, inevitable. So the next time you dip your toes in the water, maybe glance down first. Because if the past has taught us anything, it's that nature never forgets how to build monsters. Thanks for diving into the deep end with us. If your jaw dropped at least once during this video, do us a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe for more wild prehistoric breakdowns, and drop a comment telling us which sea monster you'd absolutely not want to meet in the water. Oh, and share this with a friend who still thinks sharks are scary. Let's ruin their next beach vacation together. Catch you in the next one. Stay curious, stay alive, and maybe stay on land.